Last couple of months, as I was getting ready for the new year and helping people kind of get ready for the new year, this same message has been coming back to me over and over and over and over again. So this is something I really, and you've probably heard me saying it a lot lately, that you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow, you reap what you sow. I think a lot of you are at a crossroads right now of trying to figure some things out, like some things that have been hanging on you for a really long time. You think that these problems or these changes are just showing up, that they're brand new and I didn't expect it, and I'm not quite sure what to do. Things don't just show up. They really don't. Things really evolve and grow over time. Most of the time, we just really don't pay attention to it. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't see it. It's so tiny, you put it in the ground and you cover it up with dirt, and then nothing happens. You really don't see it for a really long time. So you don't see what's happening under there in the dirt until you see an actual sprout come out. Unless you knew what that was when you planted it in, it just looks like a little piece of green twig or something like that. You don't really know what it is. And you can continue to ignore it and pretend that it's not anything until it really starts to get bigger. Even then, it still might not look like anything because it's kind of weak. It doesn't have really solid roots. It doesn't have a really solid foundation. It hasn't grown very big, and it goes through a season of this growth. And a lot of times during those seasons where those seeds are growing, we're too busy paying attention to a bunch of other things that are just happening in the present, right? And we tend to not look at stuff that we've already done before because there wasn't an immediate reaction to it. And one day you're going to turn around and all of a sudden there's this big tree or whatever it is that you planted and you don't want it there. Now you're in a season where I'm like, oh my God, I've got this big thing that I don't want in my life, that you didn't pay attention to, that you ignored, that you kind of left and thought it would just go away on its own. And now it's here and you have to deal with it. So how do you fix that? Well, first you got to acknowledge that you were the one who planted that seed. You want to say, oh, someone else planted that in there, or that just showed up and I don't even know how it got there. And if you were really to backtrack, to a lot of things that you did or ignored or said or put yourself in certain situations, you had some part in this tree or this thing that you don't want in your life anymore. You had a part in that. And then decide what you're going to do about it. Don't just turn your back again to it and think that this big old tree is just going to go away. You have to have a plan to cut that down. Cut it a branch down at a time, which is fine. That's what most people do. I'm just going to kind of trim it down because it's so big. Just trim it down. But you can't do that. At some point, you got to trim it all the way down to the root and pull that whole entire freaking root out. Which you could have done way back when it was just a tiny seed and tiny sprout, right? But we don't really pay attention to it till it becomes a problem. We've got work to do. You've put on a lot of weight over a significant amount of time. That weight's not just going to come off. It's going to take a whole heck of a lot of time to take it off too. But it's not just about weight loss. If you have an issue with your career, with your relationships, with who you are personally when you look in the mirror, those things just did not happen overnight, guys. I had to do the work and I am still doing the work every single day. Clear all the roots out, all the weeds out, the whole plant all of a sudden just is gone, and you have a whole new plot. You have a whole new plot of soil that you've cleared out. You might even replace the soil. Just start all over. Plant a new garden. And then take care of that. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend that, whatever it is that you're there. If it's a bad seed, you have time to dig it out so that you can see that grow in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. Because that's a lot of time, right? Or you can just leave the tree that you left there and watch that grow for another year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. And keep growing. Now it's going to be harder to take that out because you're allowing it to grow even more. Man, that message has been in my heart for weeks, months, I don't know. It was eating at me this morning. I'm like, yeah, man, I got to get this out. I just needed to say it, and I need some of you to hear it because some of you you really are in this season, and I want you to understand you can change it. Be ready to sweat. Be ready to do the work. Be ready to cry. Get some people to help you dig that stuff out. Get some people that you trust to help dig that out and change that soil. You don't have to fix it all on your own. it's a lot easier to, you know, break down that tree and dig out all that stuff with people by your side.